Welcome back to my channel, Pocket Change Coins. If you're excited about finding hidden gems in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we're going to uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're talking about the 2022 Maya Angelou quarter. And not just as a collector's item, but as a coin that could be worth thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Maybe even more. So lean in, turn up the volume, and join us as we uncover the incredible story behind one of America's most powerful quarters, and how it could be your lucky payday. Let's start with the woman whose legacy made this coin a reality, Maya Angelou. A name that echoes across generations. A poet. A performer. A powerful voice in the fight for civil rights. Her words moved nations. Her courage inspired millions. And in 2022, she made history once again, this time, not with her voice, but with her presence on US currency. That's right. Maya Angelou became the first black woman ever to appear on a US coin. And not just any coin, a quarter, used by millions every day, now transformed into a miniature monument of empowerment. This coin was part of the American Women Quarters program, a groundbreaking initiative launched by the US Mint to honor women who reshaped America's story. And what a way to kick off the series, with Maya, arms raised, light beaming behind her, and a bird in flight soaring across the sky. Every detail of this coin tells a story. Her lifted arms represent resilience and freedom. The bird, symbolic of her most famous work, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, soars as a reminder that no cage can contain the human spirit. The sun rays radiate with hope, triumph, and a future shaped by strength and artistry. And if that wasn't enough, here's where it gets really exciting. Most of these coins were released into everyday circulation. Millions were minted. But like any treasure, only a few are truly rare. And those are the coins collectors are willing to pay big money for. Now here's what you need to watch for. We're talking about the 2022 version, the one minted in Philadelphia. Look closely. Right above Washington's shoulder on the front, you'll find a tiny letter, P. That's your first clue, but not all minted quarters are created equal. Some of these Maya Angelou quarters have been discovered with extraordinary minting errors. Double dies. Off-center strikes. Misprints. Edge flaws. And even microscopic design shifts. These errors can dramatically raise the value of the coin, sometimes by hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and the key ingredient that makes these coins worth so much more? Condition. If your Maya Angelou quarter is in flawless, uncirculated condition, shiny, sharp-edged, and free of scratches, you could be sitting on something very special. Coins that grade as MS67, MS68, or higher are already in hot demand among serious collectors. In fact, some error coins in high grades have already gone viral, popping up on eBay, in auctions, and in collector forums for jaw-dropping prices. So why are collectors obsessed? It's not just about rarity. It's about the moment. This coin isn't from 1804. It isn't gold. But it represents something bigger. A cultural shift. A historical first. A modern legend. Coins that capture a moment in time, that spark emotion and represent real change, those are the ones that become priceless over the years. Now, I know what you're thinking. How much could one little quarter really be worth? Well, you might want to sit down for this, because if you've got one of these 2022 Maya Angelou quarters in mint condition, with the right error, the right features, and the right timing, its value has been estimated by experts and appraisers at an unbelievable amount. Not 100. Not 1,000. Not even 10,000. We're talking about a single quarter that could be worth $45,000. That's right. 25 cents could become $45,000. So before you toss that spare change into a vending machine or donate it to the tip jar, take a second. Look closer. That glimmer of silver might just be your golden ticket, and remember, this is just the beginning. As more people realize the rarity and power behind this coin, its value could soar even higher. You might be holding a modern legend in your hand and not even know it yet. Second rare coin is to dive into the world of the 1972 Washington quarter, a coin that could be hiding in a forgotten drawer, an old coin jar, or even sitting quietly in your change purse. But here's the twist: this seemingly common coin might be worth far more than you ever imagined. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and why one of these quarters has been valued at an eye-watering amount that could seriously change your fortune. Let's start by going back in time. Way back to the early 1970s. It was a time of change and challenge in the United States. The Vietnam War was raging, the Watergate scandal was beginning to unfold, and inflation was creeping into American life. And through it all, people still carried coins in their pockets, not realizing that one day, those coins might become valuable relics of history. The Washington quarter, first minted in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, had become a staple of American currency. By 1972, the quarter featured the familiar profile of Washington on the front and the proud eagle on the back, a classic design recognized instantly by generations. But here's where things get interesting: while millions of 1972 quarters were produced and circulated across the country, not all of them were made the same. Some quarters from that year are just a little different. And in the world of coin collecting, those differences can mean everything. You see, the US Mint is incredibly precise, but it's not perfect. And in 1972, a few special quarters slipped through the cracks, coins with rare minting errors, unusual finishes, or unique die characteristics that make them stand out in a crowd. To the average person, these quarters might look like any other. But to a trained eye, they're goldmines in disguise. So what should you be looking for? First, check the condition. The highest value coins are almost always in uncirculated or mint state condition. That means no major scratches, no heavy wear, and sharp details. Coins graded MS66, MS67, or higher by services like PCGS or NGC are worth far more than their face value, but condition alone isn't the whole story. What truly sets some 1972 quarters apart are minting errors. That could mean a double die obverse, where the date or lettering appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during minting. It could mean an off-center strike, where the design is shifted away from the center of the coin. Or it might even be a wrong planchet error, where the quarter was accidentally struck on metal meant for a different denomination, like a dime or a nickel. These kinds of errors are extremely rare. But when they do surface, collectors go wild. In fact, just a few years ago, a 1972 quarter featuring a rare and dramatic double die error, preserved in pristine condition, shocked the collector world by skyrocketing in value at auction. And here's something else to consider: provenance. If a coin has documentation, or comes from a verified collector with a history of rare finds, its value can go even higher. Now, here's the fun part. This isn't a coin locked away in some museum or buried in a millionaire's vault. These 1972 quarters are still out there. Still in circulation. Still popping up in coin collections, old piggy banks, and even garage sales. That means you could actually find one. You could literally check your change right now, and possibly discover a fortune hiding in plain sight. So, what's the magic number? What's the real potential of a coin like this? If you come across a 1972 Washington quarter that's in near-perfect condition, and it features one of the extremely rare minting errors we mentioned, then listen closely, because that unassuming, decades-old quarter, once worth just 25 cents, could now be worth as much as $89,000. Yes, you heard that right. $89,000. All packed into one small piece of American history. All hiding behind the face of George Washington and a silver eagle. A quarter that most people would overlook, but that the right collector would pay a fortune to own. So what are you waiting for? Start checking your change, dig through those old drawers, and take a fresh look at those coins you thought were worthless. Because the 1972 Washington quarter might just be your hidden treasure. Third expensive coin, we're talking about the United States 1967 Washington quarter, a piece of American currency that millions of people have passed through their hands without giving it a second thought. But here's the truth that most people don't know: this coin is hiding a secret. And for a select few, that secret has translated into life-changing value. This isn't just a story about a quarter. It's a story about history, scarcity, mystery, and value beyond face value. So, sit back, grab your coin jar, because you might just have one of these tucked away, and let's journey into the world of a little silver-colored coin that's captured the attention of collectors around the world. To understand why the 1967 quarter is so interesting, we have to step back in time. It's the late 1960s. The United States is in the midst of the Vietnam War, civil rights protests are sweeping across the nation, and NASA is preparing to send mankind to the moon. The country is changing fast, and so is its money. Only a few years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint made a huge decision: it removed silver from circulating quarters. That's right, before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices, the mint shifted to a copper-nickel composition. By 1967, all quarters were now clad, meaning they had a copper core with a nickel outer layer. So technically, the 1967 quarter isn't a silver coin. But here's where it gets fascinating: despite the official change, not all 1967 quarters were created equal. During this transitional period, some incredibly rare mistakes and anomalies occurred at the mint. And as any seasoned collector will tell you, it's in those errors, those strange and unexpected imperfections, that true value is born. First, let's talk about the basics of the 1967 Washington quarter. On the obverse, or front, you have the classic image of George Washington, facing left, originally designed in 1932 by sculptor John Flanagan. On the reverse, you'll see the bold American eagle, wings spread wide, standing on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. Clean, strong, iconic. No mint mark appears on the 1967 quarter. That's because, during this time, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins to discourage people from hoarding based on where the coin was made. So whether your coin was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, it carries no identifying letter. That fact alone makes 1967 quarters unique among Washington quarters. But what really makes this coin valuable? Well, a few things. First, condition. As always in coin collecting, the better the condition, the higher the value. Uncirculated coins, proof-like strikes, and those that have been carefully preserved over the decades are far more desirable. Coins that have been graded MS-66 or higher, meaning mint state, with virtually no flaws, can already sell for respectable amounts. But here's where it gets really interesting: there are confirmed reports of 1967 quarters with rare minting errors. Some were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, those blank coin discs used for pre-1965 coins. That means they look like any regular quarter, but they actually contain silver. A few others were struck on dime planchets, making them underweight and off-sized. And then there are the double dies, where the letters or numbers appear slightly doubled due to a misaligned strike. These coins don't just stand out, they stand alone. They're unicorns in the world of modern US coins. And then there's another layer to this mystery. Some rare 1967 quarters have what's known as proof-like surfaces, even though no official proof quarters were struck for circulation that year. These coins shimmer with mirror-like surfaces, resembling proofs, even though they weren't meant to be. That makes them even more desirable for collectors. Now let's bring this home. Why should you care? Because the 1967 Washington quarter might be one of the most overlooked treasures hiding in everyday collections, change jars, and coin rolls across America. It's old enough to have value. It's modern enough to still turn up in circulation. And it's mysterious enough to hide some truly rare variants. So here's the moment you've been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to find a 1967 Washington quarter in pristine, untouched condition, and if it contains one of those rare minting errors, like being struck on a silver planchet, or possessing a dramatic double die, then you may just be holding something extraordinary. A single 1967 quarter, just 25 cents in face value, has been estimated by collectors and auction houses at a staggering $200,000. Yes. You heard that right. $200,000, all in the palm of your hand. So before you spend that old quarter or toss it back into the coin jar, take a closer look. What seems ordinary could be rare. What looks like loose change could be your life-changing find. Specially, we're talking about a coin from the heart of the 1980s. The year was 1983. A year when the world was dancing to Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, the internet was just a dream, and a gallon of gas cost under $1. But while all of that was happening, something quietly historic was making its way into people's pockets. The 1983 P Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it may look like just another ordinary piece of change. But what lies beneath its surface is a story of rarity, overlooked errors, and unexpected value. So stay with me, because you might have one of these tucked away somewhere in a drawer or jar, and if you do, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's set the scene. The early 1980s were a rough time economically for the United States. The country was just emerging from a recession, inflation was still a concern, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce more coins for everyday circulation, fast and cheap. In the rush, something interesting happened, and that's where the 1983 P quarter gets its legend. Now, before we get into what makes this coin so special, let's talk about the design, because this is a coin packed with symbolism. On the obverse side, you'll find the familiar, dignified portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan back in 1932. He's facing left, noble and calm, a symbol of American leadership and legacy. Flip the coin over, and there's the bold American eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, ready to defend the nation. Below that, the olive branches of peace, reminding us of balance between strength and diplomacy. But beyond the beauty of the design, it's what happened during and after this coin's production that made it the stuff of collector legend. First and foremost, 1983 was one of those years when the U.S. Mint did not issue any uncirculated mint sets. That's right. No uncirculated coin sets were officially released by the Mint that year, meaning that the only way to get a 1983 quarter was to pull it from general circulation. No freshly minted, collector-grade versions were produced. That alone makes high-quality 1983 quarters incredibly rare. Think about that. Almost every other year, collectors had a chance to get flawless coins straight from the mint. But in 1983, they were out of luck. All 1983 quarters went straight into public use, into vending machines, coin purses, lunch money, and piggy banks. That means most of them show heavy signs of wear today, but here's the thing, a few collectors did manage to grab some before they got roughed up. Some coins, against the odds, survived in nearly perfect condition. And those are the ones that can command serious money. But it gets even better. The 1983 P quarter, the one minted in Philadelphia, has some unique quirks. Some of them were struck using worn-out dies. That resulted in soft details, missing design elements, or misaligned strikes. And then, there's the most legendary type, the spitting eagle error. Yes, you heard that right, the spitting eagle error is a specific die break on some 1983 quarters where a raised line appears from the eagle's beak down to the edge of the coin, making it look like the eagle is literally spitting. While that might sound funny to collectors, it's like striking gold. Errors like these don't just increase curiosity, they increase value. And here's another wild twist: a small number of 1983 P quarters were struck on planchets intended for other coins, like nickels or foreign coins. These off-metal errors are incredibly rare and have sold for thousands of dollars in major auctions. So, let's recap. A coin from a year without mint sets. A coin with known errors. A coin that was never meant to survive in pristine condition. And yet, a few have. If you happen to have a 1983 Washington quarter with a P mint mark in high grade, especially one that shows a rare error, or looks virtually untouched by time, then you're holding a serious piece of numismatic history. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. What could this coin be worth? Well, if your 1983 P Washington quarter is in exceptional, mint state condition, and features one of the highly sought-after errors, it could command a truly eye-opening price at auction. Some collectors and appraisers have placed the value of such a coin at a staggering $67,000. That's right, $67,000, for a coin most people would spend without thinking twice. So the next time you're digging through spare change, searching through coin rolls, or cleaning out an old drawer, don't just glance at your quarters. Take a real look. Because that unassuming piece of metal might just be your hidden fortune. Next coin, we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1995 Washington quarter dollar, a coin so familiar and yet so misunderstood, that it's become one of the most fascinating hidden gems in the world of US coin collecting. So, grab your change jar, your old piggy bank, or your stash of forgotten coins, because what looks like 25 cents could be the key to a small fortune. Let's begin by setting the scene. It was 1995. The internet was just beginning to take over the world. The world was dancing to TLC and Coolio. Bill Clinton was in the White House, and eBay had just launched, ironically, a website that would later help coins like this one reach sky-high prices, and while all that was happening, millions of Washington quarters were being struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That's where the P mint mark comes in. You'll find it right above the date on the front side of the coin, small, subtle, and very easy to miss. On the obverse, you've got the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. It's bold, clean, and as iconic as American currency gets. On the reverse, the American eagle sits proudly on a bundle of arrows, wings outstretched, a reminder of strength and peace. But here's where it gets really interesting: the 1995 quarter is not considered ancient. It's not made of silver or gold. And it's not rare in the traditional sense. Millions were minted that year. So why would anyone pay big money for one? The answer lies in something collectors call quality, condition, and the unexpected. Let's start with condition. Most coins that go into circulation get beat up fast. They get scratched, nicked, worn down by years of vending machines, parking meters, and pockets. That's why finding a 1995 quarter in mint state condition, meaning sharp details, no scratches, and a perfect shine, is much rarer than you think. Coins graded MS66, MS67, or higher become instantly more valuable simply because they're so hard to find. Now, here's where it gets even more exciting. Some 1995 quarters contain minting errors that happened during the production process. These are not just small imperfections, they're unique, bizarre, and sometimes downright shocking. You might find quarters with double dies, where letters and numbers appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the dies. There are also known cases of off-center strikes, where the coin design is visibly shifted to one side, or clipped planchets, where a chunk of the coin is missing from the edge. To the average person, these might look like mistakes. To collectors, they look like gold. These errors were not made on purpose, and they were never meant to be seen. But a few slipped through quality control and ended up in the hands of people who never realized what they had. Until years later, when collectors started paying attention. And here's another twist: some 1995 quarters were struck with proof-like surfaces, even though they were not meant to be proof coins. These shiny, mirror-like coins somehow got produced under the radar, and they're extremely hard to come by. So let's say you come across a 1995 quarter with a dramatic double die, in pristine condition, graded professionally, and shining like it was made yesterday. What's it really worth? Well, most people might say, it's just a quarter, maybe a few bucks to a collector. But if you know what to look for, and if you have that perfect combination of rarity, error, and condition, then the game changes completely. Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. There have been verified cases where 1995 quarters, featuring a major minting error and graded in exceptional condition, were sold or valued at auction for an amount that would make anyone do a double take. One such coin, an ordinary-looking 1995 quarter in all the right ways, with all the right features, has been valued at a jaw-dropping amount, and that value is $50,000, yes, $50,000, all from a 25-cent coin that could be hiding right now in your home, in a forgotten jar, or in a roll of quarters at the bank. So here's what you need to do: take a close look at your quarters. Look for the P mint mark above the date. Check the coin for doubling in the words or date. Look at the edges, see if anything looks off. And if it looks unusually clean, shiny, or sharp, don't spend it. Get it appraised, because that little coin you almost didn't look at might just be worth more than your entire coin jar combined. Last unique coin, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1998 Washington quarter dollar coin, a coin that, on the surface, looks just like any other. But hidden beneath that copper-nickel shine is a story of rarity, minting mystery, and serious collector demand. So stick around, because if you've ever come across a 1998 quarter with a little D mint mark, you might want to take a much closer look, especially if it's in great condition or shows unusual characteristics. It just might be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's rewind to 1998. It was the end of an era in American coinage. The next year, 1999, would kick off the iconic 50-state quarters program, a series that would change the way Americans looked at quarters forever. But in 1998, we were still using the classic eagleback design that had been in place for decades. That means the 1998 quarter holds a special place in U.S. numismatic history. It represents the final chapter of a timeless design before the nation turned to commemorative state imagery. For collectors, coins from this transitional moment are always worth a second glance. Now, let's focus on the details. On the front, or obverse, of the 1998 quarter, you'll find the time-honored portrait of George Washington, facing left, a design by John Flanagan, first introduced in 1932. It's simple, strong, and instantly recognizable. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the proud American eagle, wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows, a bold image of strength and vigilance, flanked by olive branches symbolizing peace. It's a clean, traditional design that would soon be replaced, making this version even more collectible. Now, that small letter just below, "In God We Trust," on the front, that's the D mint mark, meaning the coin was minted in Denver. While the Denver Mint produced millions of quarters in 1998, not all of them were created equal. So what makes some 1998 D quarters so valuable? It comes down to a few crucial factors: condition, rarity, and minting anomalies. First up, condition. Coins that have been kept in uncirculated or mint state, meaning no scratches, no wear, and perfect details, are worth much more than ones that have seen years of circulation. A 1998 D quarter graded MS66 or higher is already of interest to collectors. But when you add in the next piece of the puzzle, the value can skyrocket. And that next piece? Errors and die varieties. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes happen, and they're not always caught. In fact, some of these mistakes make it all the way into circulation. Collectors refer to them as error coins, and they're some of the most prized finds in the coin world. For the 1998 D quarter, there are known examples of off-center strikes, double die obverse, and even broad-struck errors, where the coin is pressed without a retaining collar, causing the metal to spread and warp in unexpected ways. Some quarters were even mistakenly struck on planchets meant for other denominations, like nickels or foreign coins. These off-metal errors are incredibly rare, and when paired with a high-condition grade, their value can reach astonishing levels. Even subtle anomalies, like misaligned dies, clipped edges, or heavy doubling in the lettering, can drastically increase the coin's worth if authenticated and graded professionally. But it's not just about errors. The 1998 D quarter's place as one of the last eagleback quarters makes it historically significant. As the final coin before a major shift in U.S. coin design, collectors are increasingly seeking out high-quality examples to complete their collections. This growing demand has driven prices up, especially for quarters with high grades or unique characteristics. So what does this mean for you? It means that sitting in your change jar, your desk drawer, or your childhood coin collection could be a small, round, 25-cent piece that looks like nothing special, but is actually something incredibly rare. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to own a 1998 D Washington quarter that is in pristine, uncirculated condition, and especially if it features a rare minting error or variety, then hold on tight, because that little coin, just $0.25 in face value, has been appraised in certain rare cases at a staggering $30,000. Yes, you heard it right, $30,000. That's what some collectors have paid for the rarest and most well-preserved examples of this coin. All for something most people wouldn't look at twice. So the next time you're handed change at the store or sorting through old coins, don't ignore the ordinary-looking ones. Look for that 1998 date. Look for the little D mint mark. And look carefully for any strange details. They could be your ticket to a surprising payday. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed learning about the hidden potential of the 1998 D quarter, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe for more fascinating coin stories, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance to learn how everyday coins could change your life. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember, sometimes the biggest treasures come in the smallest packages.